Well, happy anniversary, everyone.
Wow.
It's been 10 years since the start of JW Broadcasting, and they're celebrating this October 2024 episode. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, as usual, it's crap.
Don't sue me, bro.
Hello and welcome to Ex Witness Week. I'm your host, Jonathan. Hope that you're having a great day. This October episode marks the 10-year anniversary, as I mentioned. Troy Snyder, helper to the Coordinators Committee, is going to shovel a spoonful of spiritual food in that weird cadence that we all love. Let's get into it.
Welcome to JW Broadcasting. This month marks 10 years since the first program debuted. We'll take a look at the special role JW Broadcasting has played in uniting God's people. In part one of this episode of Applying Bible Principles, James and Linda were too focused on when the end would come. We'll see how they now help others keep a balanced view of the future. In Iron Sharpens Iron, we'll learn how to put our website to better use in the ministry. This is the October 2024 edition of JW Broadcasting. When I first began serving at Bethel, I'd call home to speak with my family, and my mother would always ask, "Have they told you when the date of Armageddon is?" Though she was being humorous and didn't expect an answer, her question reveals what we all long for: Jehovah's promised new world. Maybe you have in a sense asked Jehovah that question. How much longer, Jehovah? Or said to Jehovah, "I'm exhausted. I don't know how much longer I can keep going." Please, Jehovah, when will your promises for a world of lasting peace, refreshment, and relief from the pressures of this world come true? We all likely feel this way from time to time.
The thing is, when people are raised their whole life to believe that an end is coming any day now, and that all their troubles are going to go away, and that life's going to be easy, and we're going to live in paradise with pandas and eat watermelon and that sort of thing, they're going to be kind of tired of living the actual life that they have when they keep pining for this fantasy life that's promised to them. But generations after generations of people have lived with that promise in mind that is coming from the governing body, that's coming from the president of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society before that, and the Bible Students Association. They're promised these things and they just don't happen. Yeah, of course they're tired of it.
What things would we see happening? Prophecy being fulfilled. When we recognize Bible prophecies being fulfilled before our eyes, our faith is fortified. We see the end is imminent. We recognize that we're almost done. That helps us not give out. What are some of these prophecies? You're familiar with the prophecies of earthquakes, wars and reports of wars, food shortages, and disease all happening at once. You see these things happening.
Troy, these things have happened together since they were written down like 2,000 years ago. There's always been wars, there's always been diseases, there's always been earthquakes. They've always happened. It's a thing. These things have happened. So it's not pointing to anything.
2 Timothy 3:13 says, "Wicked men and impostors will advance from bad to worse." You see these things happening. As we're told, this good news of the kingdom is being preached worldwide, now in over 1,000 languages. You see these things happening. As a result of Christ's rule, the knowledge of Jehovah is abundantly overflowing. You see these things happening. And what about Isaiah 45:18? Here, Jehovah calls himself the maker of the earth, who did not create it simply for nothing, but formed it to be inhabited. Today, scientists say that the world is on the brink of becoming uninhabitable. They warn that if action to stop global warming is not taken quickly, its compounding effects will become irreversible. At Revelation 11:18, the Bible foretold that in our day man would be ruining the earth. And it also assures us that Jehovah will step in and not let the earth be completely ruined.
This good news will have reached in all the inhabited earth to witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Asterisk, except for nations where they're not allowed and you don't find them. There are large swaths of the earth where they can't do the preaching work. It's illegal. So you don't find people there. You might find a couple here and there, but the amount per person with the population means nothing. So it's not happening in the inhabited Earth. And also, there are more people being born than you could possibly keep up with. So that ain't happening. That would never happen. It's a scientific fact that, as far as ruining the Earth is concerned, yes, global warming, pollution, so forth, it is causing a lot of damage, and it is becoming a serious problem that we as a planet, as humankind, need to do something about. But even if we don't, even if all the people on the Earth were destroyed, the Earth is still going to exist. The Earth doesn't need us. We need the Earth, not the other way around. So the Earth can't really be ruined in that sense. It's not going to be destroyed. It's not going to blow up and there's going to be asteroids. We just need to do better as a species.
Luke 17:20. The kingdom of God is not coming with striking observableness. This means that world conditions during the last days would not be so extreme that people would be forced to believe that the end is near. As Matthew 24:37 through 39 indicates, they would still be eating and drinking, getting married, and able to carry on their everyday lives. How should this affect us? It should fortify us not to give up. At Mark 13:35, Jesus said we must keep on the watch. This means stay awake, be on guard. And in the parallel account, in Matthew 24, Jesus connects this with being ready. What will help us to do this when we feel so exhausted? Where can we get strength to keep up the fight? In a word, trust. Jehovah has been sustaining us. Think how he sustained you. Maybe you've experienced the ravages of a natural disaster. Jehovah sustained you. Maybe you've dealt with the loss of a loved one. Jehovah has sustained you. Whatever trial we've gone through, we can see how Jehovah has helped us.
Wait a minute. So we can see these things are happening. It's just so apparent. But nah, because it won't be apparent. Because it'll just happen and people won't take notice. Which is it? Is it going to be unrecognizable, or is it going to be in your face? I feel like you got to pick one. Okay, he says that we get strength from trust. The trust that they want us to have is in them, the governing body. He says that people are sustained in times of tribulation, like you're sustained if you survive a natural disaster like a hurricane or something like that, or loss of a loved one. What about those who don't survive that? What about those who lose everything and get killed in that disaster? Were they sustained? No. What about somebody who loses their spouse and they become depressed and do away with themselves? Were they sustained? No. They want you to trust in them because they equate trusting in God and trusting in their organization as one and the same. When you leave the organization, you are leaving Jehovah. Not necessarily. You can leave the organization and still believe in God and still have faith. You don't need them to trust in a higher power. But they need you to trust in a higher power. They need you to remain part of their organization so that they can benefit from you being there in the form of money, power, free labor. Those are the things that they get. That's how they're sustained.
Remember that trials do not mean a loss of Jehovah's favor. Our enemy knows that feeling close to Jehovah is the source of our strength. So he'll try to undermine our confidence. And he hopes that we break away from Jehovah. For example, when Job was undergoing a severe trial, his false comforters lyingly said that the reason for these trials was that he'd lost Jehovah's favor. Jehovah reminded Job to look at creation and to see his love and wisdom.
I like to be reminded that the reason that Job went through those trials was because of a cosmic bet between God and the devil. Fun times. Love and wisdom. Love and wisdom.
When we hear lies about Jehovah, his organization, and those he's appointed to take the lead, we will not be shaken. We won't give up or give out. We know the prophecy at Matthew 24:45 has been fulfilled. Jehovah has lovingly provided a slave that's faithful and discreet. We recognize that Jehovah provides spiritual food and direction through this body of men at the right time. We're not left floundering or trying to find our way. Therefore, we remain obedient and responsive to the direction we receive. We never dismiss it, even if it doesn't appear practical from a human standpoint.
So Jehovah has provided a faithful slave in order to direct the people, to be his representatives on earth. And who are the ones that say they are that faithful slave? They would be the faithful slave. So they appointed themselves, and they may say things that don't make sense from an earthly standpoint. So that basically means anything goes, which could even be something that's dangerous to people, that could harm them, could cause them to lose their lives. But you know what? It's fine. We don't get it. We're just humans. And I'm sure they've got it handled. Ugh. They've used this line of reasoning plenty of times in the past. And even 2 times he mentions it in this particular talk.
The strategy that Jehoshaphat followed didn't seem practical from a human standpoint. Jehoshaphat appointed singers dressed in holy adornment to praise Jehovah. And how unusual that he put them in front of the armed men. Were they singing songs about how Jehovah defeated their enemies in past wars? No. They sang about Jehovah's loyal love. What was the result? Jehovah confused their enemies and they attacked each other. What lessons can we learn from this account? Trusting Jehovah includes trusting his representatives. The life-saving direction we receive from Jehovah's organization may not appear practical from a human standpoint. But we recognize the fulfillment of the prophecy at Matthew 24:45 about the faithful and discreet slave, and we're ready to obey any instruction they provide.
That is a dangerous way of thinking. That is a giant red flag that says this is a cult, that don't look behind the curtain. Whatever we say goes, whether it gets you killed or not, or takes your money, or takes your children, or anything like that, we know what we're doing. Well, I disagree. I think people need to use their own sense. It needs to make sense from a human standpoint in your own head, and weigh whether this is something that you can live with or not.
Yes, getting ready includes building trust and being convinced that Jehovah will deliver us from the wicked one. Trusting him will help us understand the prophetic role of the faithful and discreet slave during this time of the end, when Jehovah is using them to provide life-saving direction. This direction is helping us to stay ready. Jehovah sustained us in the past, and he sustains us now. Seeing these things happening can also fortify and strengthen us. Many of you have been fighting to keep on the watch for many years. Now the end is clearly in sight. We don't want to give up now.
People have been fighting to keep on the watch since before there was film technology and everything was in black and white and sound was introduced. You look at different programs and you see these examples, interviews with really old brothers and sisters, or talking about these people who have died a long time ago and were young kids in the early 1900s, and they were keeping on the watch. What happened? Everything came and went. Life, the end didn't come. They didn't get to live their lives in a way that they had the potential to live. And you don't have to serve this group in order to be a good person. You can be a good person without being part of this organization. So to anybody that is a Jehovah's Witness watching this, you don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness to be a good person. You can be just fine on your own. You can look at a Bible if you want to, read that Bible, and come to your own determination about what it says and live your life according to the standards that are set out in the Bible and live a godly life if you want to. Or you can go on your own conscience that you have and live in a way that makes sense for you as far as your conscience. Live by your conscience. You don't have to give your time, money, and energy to making properties for the governing body. You don't have to go to these meetings all the time and devote a certain number of hours to knocking on doors or standing by a cart. You can be a good person without it.
Can you believe it's been 10 years since JW Broadcasting began?
Yay.
That's 120 monthly programs. These programs have unified and strengthened Jehovah's organization. In the next video, we will be reminded of some gems we've received, and we'll hear personal stories that illustrate the impact JW Broadcasting has had on the Brotherhood.
We warmly welcome you, dear brothers and sisters, for our first JW Broadcasting monthly program.
Christian neutrality.
Modesty.
Do the math.
Deal with anxiety one day at a time.
Children are an inheritance from Jehovah.
Jehovah loves each one of us, despite our appearances, our imperfections.
A marriage that has good patterns, shaped by Jehovah's principles, looks like this well-balanced family circle.
Though we're tainted with sin, Jehovah does not discard imperfect humans.
We may worry about what might seem to be big tests, only to find that they're not as overwhelming as we feared they would be.
Each individual grain of sand reveals distinct beauty. That is how Jehovah sees each of you.
So what impact has JW Broadcasting had on people in the last 10 years? Well, we got to see who the governing body really are. They were just wise men behind the camera, behind the articles, and then they came out into the limelight and they showed that they're just old men. They have showed that their thinking has changed over the years, because as one governing body member is ousted and another one comes in, and then the same happens, or they die off, the thoughts change. The way that they do things change. They call it new light, but it really is new thinking. It's new preferences of how they want things to be. Also, we get to see what a clown some of them are, specifically Stephen Lett. But you know what? They all have said some pretty ridiculous things in the past. We've come to discover that they really like the attention. We've come to see that the number of people who have entered the organization since the 10 years that has started has actually slowed down, and it's just not the same growth as it used to be. So it really is not as positive as they'd like to believe. And when you look back at certain programs, they're almost meme-worthy, because, you know, the whole thing with the bread and like do the math and all these things, it's just like, come on. And then they have someone, say Tony Morris, who says certain things in a certain way that they disagree with, or he's just kind of bucking the system, thinking differently than the rest of the company men, and they decide to excise him from the governing body. And then mysteriously some of his talks disappear. I guess the spiritual food has expired, and they needed to toss it into the trash can along with the funky bread covered in garlic and balsamic vinegar. So I guess they should really think about what they're going to say on these videos, because once it gets on the internet, it's there forever. They can try and cut it out, but some of us are going to capture that and keep it for posterity. And yeah, some of that spiritual food has gone bad. It's turned rotten, so there's flies coming off. It's pretty gross. So while it can be kind of boring and it can be kind of cringeworthy, it also has given those who speak out apostates, because that's what an apostate is, someone who talks about the religion that they no longer belong to, given a plenty to talk about. Every month there's a new treasure trove of turds that we get to sift through and bring you the nuggets of nuggets of fun.
Have you ever watched the news and thought, is this it? Is this the beginning of the Great Tribulation? In a previous episode of Apply Bible Principles, James and Linda learned to change their focus and maintain joy. Now they'll help a young brother do the same.
I've known James and Linda, well, forever.
Hey, James and Linda are back. And we're like, why isn't it over yet? I'm tired of living in this stuff. And here it's 2024. Yeah, it's still going on there, James and Linda. Now, they worked through that, and they decided to just be patient and be ready for when the end comes.
Since this part's a little longer, you can head to 25:28 if you want to skip this part and just get to my comments.
When I fell away. I knew it was the truth. I just wanted more. But when the pandemic hit, I knew the end was close. I started studying again and got baptized just in time.
He keeps passing this blog information and asking for everyone's opinion.
I saw it.
It's the third one this week.
I'll talk to him. He just needs to verify his sources.
Did you get a chance to read the links I sent you?
Of course I read it.
And?
It's exciting to think we could be so close.
And when you watch the news, you realize it could be any day now.
What's all the excitement?
The cry of peace and security.
Thanks again for sharing.
See you.
Tulani, remember Jesus said, no one knows the day or hour.
But he said we should keep on the watch.
I think it's great you keeping the end close in mind.
Because of you and Linda. Both of you have shown me how close we really are.
I have to take this quickly, but I'll see you on Friday. I saw what was happening in the world, and you both helped me put it all together.
We just want to be sure you are focused on the right things.
We can all start thinking too much about when the end will come.
But I'm just being alert. Isn't that what you taught me to do?
Alert is good.
And if the end is really so far off, why did I need to change my life now?
You're asking the right questions. There was a moment in our lives when we focused too much on the when rather than the why we were serving Jehovah. It affected our zeal, our happiness, our perspective. And we'd never want that for you.
This is the answer.
Since all these things are to be dissolved in this way, consider what sort of people you ought to be in holy acts of conduct and deeds of godly devotion.
We don't know when the end will come. Could be tomorrow. Could take a little longer. But what matters is the kind of person we are when it comes. So focus on your love for Jehovah, His organization, His work. Take the excitement you have and direct it the right way.
And so you have this young brother who they sort of took under their wing, and he was wondering, well, why am I doing this if the end hasn't come yet? And that's a good question. But, you know, he's been focused on the things in the media, things in the news, the reports on the internet about the UN and different political goings on, and how that relates to, you know, the nations turning on religion, etc. And apparently he's too focused on it. Now, if you're supposed to keep on the watch, you would want to take note of these things, right? But that's too much taken note, because you don't want to think about it too much. Because if you think about it too much, you might actually pay attention to the fact that it really isn't happening. They don't give a specific example in this fictional story, these people that don't actually exist, but I don't recall any sort of peace going on, any particular peace right now. There's a lot of war going on right now, so that doesn't really fit with the whole peace and security thing. And they don't want you to pay attention. They just want you to put your nose to the grindstone, to just keep plugging along, shovel the coal, as they said in a different talk, and just cruise along and just wait for the end to come. But don't think about it too much. So they want you to find this weird balance between, oh my God, it's here any second, and it's going to get here eventually. These two thoughts don't really work together. I recorded this bit after I finished, because in doing the editing, I realized that the young man that they're talking about and they took under their wing is the same baby that she was, basically sad about holding at the Kingdom Hall, because she wanted her own children. And they had to hold out, because don't give up, even though it seems like it's taken forever, that you just got to be patient and it's coming. And so clearly they could have had their own children, and they didn't. They gave up that opportunity to have a family of their own and had to basically, adopt a kid from the Kingdom Hall to take under their wing to, feel like their parents. And that's sad. That's just time lost that they could have had to live their life as a family, and they gave it up for the organization.
Hi, I am Jacob. Welcome to Iron Sharpens Iron. Being an effective minister means being familiar with our message and the tools we use to share it.
Oh my goodness. This is cranked up to 1.5, and this dude is still talking slower than most people do at normal speed. So yeah, head to 3256 if you want to skip all that.
It allows us to download, organize, and study our publications. I've got tons of notes with gems from personal study. Another tool is jw.org. It's special because of a powerful search engine and the ability to easily switch languages. It's the first place many interested people search for more information. These features make it an invaluable tool for our ministry. But how can it make us better? Let's see in this demonstration.
Is everything okay? Sorry. Something just reminded me of my dad. No need to be sorry. Do you want to talk about it?
The smallest things remind me that he's not here. One moment, I'm fine. The next in tears.
There's something that helps me when I get overwhelmed. It's a promise of our future.
And he will wipe out every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more. Neither will mourning, nor outcry, nor pain be any more. The former things have passed away.
This scripture has gotten me through some of the worst times in my life. But there's also an amazing article that goes through each piece of the promise.
Our sister could have used JW Library to look up the scripture, and that would be fine. But by using jw.org, she had the scripture, related articles, and videos right at her fingertips. The search page acted as her guide. Depending on the language you choose on jw.org, the search results can vary, since not every article or video is available in all languages. But you will find something helpful related to your entered scripture. She could focus on really listening and being a compassionate person. What if she didn't have a scripture in mind to share? Let's see what she does now.
Here's a video of those that felt the pain of losing a loved one, and this is how they coped.
Again, effectively searching with jw.org proved helpful. Did you notice her search terms? She chose words specific to the situation, but general enough to encompass a variety of articles and videos. If she only typed in death, articles on Jesus' death and being afraid of death would be featured. Not helpful in this situation. But by focusing the topic, the right article or video is a click away. And remember the benefit of using jw.org? Her workmate can now explore the site on her own. Now, what can we do if the householder speaks a different language?
你好，我想跟我的邻居谈谈，面对生活难题的时候，在哪里能找到切合实际的帮助。
Wow, your Chinese is pretty good.
That's pretty much all I got. Where are you visiting from? Can I show you how to find more answers from the Bible?
Sure.
On this website, you will find the digital version of the brochure you have and many others. And if you want to read the site in a different language, you tap here. Here's Mandarin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We give people the Bible's powerful message in the language of their heart. So take time to get familiar with jw.org. Why not practice searching your favorite scriptures and seeing the related articles that come up? Or you can rehearse switching the website to a language others commonly speak in your area. By sharpening our skills, we can focus on the people in front of us and help them get to know our God, Jehovah.
In this iron sharpens iron segment, which I think is always kind of funny, is a guy saying that being effective is being familiar with the message and the tools to use them or to show them to people. It used to be that being effective was reading the stuff and remembering it, being proficient with the scriptures. Now it seems that the most effective method is here. Check out this website, even so far as to showing them the website yourself. It is cutting out the middleman, as it were, because you as the publisher or the pioneer or whatever had to be proficient at the scriptures and whatever the material you were presenting, whether it be a book or a magazine. You had to read it. You're supposed to read it anyway. But now the method is just, here, look at this website. When you go to a cart, that's what you're going to get. Almost 100% of the time, it's going to be, hey, check out this website. Go to jw.org. I've done it myself. I've gone to a cart a couple of times, and that's what they want you to do. And you can ask some questions, and they will direct you right to that website because they want everything that people learn to be directly from their script. No room for error, no room for independent thought, no misunderstandings about what they're expecting of you. You have to follow their rules. Things at your fingertips is a wise idea if you're going to share something with somebody. But if you don't know what you're talking about and you're relying on that script, then there's no room for independent thought whatsoever. You have an independent thought and you're wrong. You need to weed that out. Because independent thought is where you can figure out that something is not right. That's how people wake up. They have some independent thoughts, and then they have this idea in their head, and then this idea comes along, and this makes sense. This one, not really working together. That's called cognitive dissonance, where you learn that some, like A and B, just don't work together. And then you come to figure out that what you always held as to be the gospel, to be the truth, when you put some thought into it, it's not the truth. And they don't want you to come to that conclusion. They want you to follow the rules, they want you to follow the doctrine, and don't question anything. Never question anything. But it is important to question things. If they don't make sense, why don't they make sense? If something is truly the truth, it's going to make sense. It's going to fit in all the holes. There's not going to be a square peg trying to go in there and it's just not working. Okay, and the final thing I want to talk about is the song for this month. It's a country song. Yeehaw! I wish I had my hat, but I don't. So check this out. We'll talk about it on the flip side.
This month's music video shows how small acts of kindness can blossom into something unexpected.
$39.58 if you want to skip it.
And so many lives have heavy loads to bear. Then Jehovah's words come back to me: be patient, calm, and kind. And no matter where, say a silent prayer for a peaceful state of mind. Living peacefully in a peaceless world is easier said than done. But if you can do it now, just imagine how it will feel when the new world comes. Things might change. Without a doubt, the storm breaks out, but I'm keeping out of range. I recall the words that I read before: life's more than what you see. That behind the scorn may be a heart that's torn and in need of sympathy. Living peacefully in a peaceless world is easier said than done. But if you can do it now, just imagine how it'll feel when the new world comes. It's never an easy ride when you're going against the tide. In a world that's lost and torn apart, the kind of peace will guard your heart. Sharing good news door to door, but something someone heard brings an angry word, and we hear the lion roar. With the Bible's words speaking loud and clear, we prepare to take our leave. There's no wood about, so the fire goes out, and we go our way in peace. Living peacefully in a peaceless world is easier said than done. But if just imagine how it'll feel when the new world comes. Living peacefully in a peaceless world is easier said than done. But if you can do it now, just imagine how it'll feel when the new world comes.
noticed one other thing while editing. He says that the song is showing how little acts of kindness can have good results. What he is really saying is don't be kind for the sake of kindness. Do it so that you can recruit people into the organization. It's all for getting more people, not just to be kind. So I remember when I was a kid, when I was a teen, whatever, thinking that I would see like a Christian rock and think that's weird, like to have Jesus music in the form of like rock and roll or whatever. And we would never do that. That's not something that Jehovah's Witnesses would ever do. No way. Nothing contemporary, because that's worldly. That is just like the other, Christian religions, because we're the only Christians. They're not true Christians. But yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses are now doing that sort of thing. The stuff has evolved and is now becoming like something you might hear on, a radio station in the country, in the Bible Belt. And it's weird. And in this particular one, this guy sees, people being mean and nasty to people, and, the witnesses are just shrugging it off, and they're kind, and you got this kid who is sharing a cartoon with the this obviously older teen or young adult that's on this sports team or in gym, whatever. I think it's a sports team because they've got that logo, which reminds me of like, a beast or something. So I feel like there's some sort of hidden message in that. And that's weird. Like, why are you showing a cartoon to that? But anyway, I digress. Yeah, and it ends up that the guy singing the song is the guy in the video who is seeing all this. So he ends up getting baptized, becoming one of Jehovah's Witnesses, is on stage singing this song. And it just feels wrong to us who are older. And I kind of wonder if they're going to have like an emo version and like a hard rock version and something like 9 Inch Nails kind of feel, or a Green Day or something, but all with Jehovah's organization and, God's love and stuff in there. So that should be interesting to see going forward. Yeah, I'll stick with my radio music or the stuff that I have on Spotify. I don't need to listen to their weird Christian rock. It's just a little too worldly for me. So that's all I've got to say on this particular episode. 10-year episode, 10-year anniversary. Woo! Ugh. Yeah, it's not great. But I guess they'll just keep plugging along and showing what a bunch of weirdos they are on camera every month. So that's it. That's all I got for now. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'll catch you later. Bye for now.